East of the Rockies, Joe in Kentucky. What did you want to share with us this evening?
Okay, I was in Seattle, and I used to I was a drug dealer back in them days. I used to take drugs to that house. But see, there was a girl named Jessie that I knew that was staying out there, and I would bring drugs, and sometimes she would get drugs for Kurt. But the thing is that she said that the green room had so much security to where I had to walk up. She told me not to pull up, but to walk up because they said it had security cameras. And to my knowledge, the guy that was the electrician guy that found him was actually the same security guy that installed the cameras of the green room. And they called it the green room because he used to grow his pot in there. And I remember one time he came down when I was out there making a transaction with this girl, Jessie, and he had this little, looked like a cigar box, I guess, or something like that. He was really weird. But and my thing was, where was all the security at when he committed suicide?
Good question. And thank you for calling in. Was there any security footage, cameras, anything?
No, the camera had not been installed yet. They had done some security work. Courtney had told me that they were in the process of installing a security system up there, but hadn't completed it, and that's why she called that electrician in to continue working on that. I think there was another reason she called that electrician in when she did too, but
so that he would find the body?
Yeah, I think I know the Jessie that you're talking about, so your story does sound a little bit credible, but Jessie probably thought there was security there that just wasn't there. Maybe she was told there was security there to, so that if people think there's security there and they tell their friends don't come around here because we got security all over the place, But I can't think of any security there that would have recorded anybody going up to the greenhouse.
West of the Rockies, Linda in Auburn, Washington. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Dave. I'm glad you took my call because I have a question for Tom, the investigator. I was wondering where Calli was during that week from April 1st. During that week it happened. And I was wondering if, Tom, if you interviewed Calli and also what happened to him afterwards.
All right, thank you for calling in, Linda. Let's give him a chance to answer on that. Where was Calli during that week?
Yeah. Calli was at the house most of the time because I was with Courtney when she was calling the house, and we also got the phone records from the Peninsula Hotel. Rosemary helped me do that, and we could see that Courtney was calling the house to talk to Calli. And so we know he was there, although he told everybody that he was coming and going because Courtney was calling too much, so that a lot of times he wasn't there, and sometimes he was going over to his girlfriend's house. Yes, I did interview Calli. He did, by the way, on Thursday, when he found out that I was up there, he left. And he flew to L.A. initially, and then Courtney paid to have him sent to a drug rehab in Arizona or some other place out of state. So I had the feeling at the time that Calli left Seattle because he didn't want to talk to me. He got nervous and he wanted to get out of there.
But as a police investigator, why weren't the police interested in this? Well, you've got a potential suspect who stayed at the house, and one thing we didn't touch on was the weird note he left on the stairs.
Right,
Kurt, you son of a bitch! Why did you get in this house and not let me know you're here? This really weirdly orchestrated note.
And I have a tape of Rosemary and I talking where she agrees with me that note sounded phony, like it was made up, like somebody either told Calli what to write or he made it up himself just for me to find.
Almost like he knew where the body he found Kurt, perhaps, or knew more about it, but wanted to deflect.
Yeah, it seemed more like a cover letter. But I was never able to meet or talk to Calli until a couple of weeks later when I finally got him to come to my office in Beverly Hills and sit down, because I had handwriting experts that were telling me that note I found on the stairs was written by a woman and sort of describing Courtney's character and everything. And I was having a hard time believing that. It didn't add up, because she would have had to fly up there and fly back, fly up there and fly back in order to do that. And so I had Calli come in, and the main purpose in having him come in was to test his handwriting. I gave him a felt tip pen and a piece of paper about the same size as the note on the stairs, and I asked him if he could remember what he wrote, and he came really close to exactly what was written in that letter. And sure enough, you hold that up, because I made copies of the letter on the stairs. I left the letter there, but I got it later from Eric Erlandson, and I took it and made copies of it. And you hold those two together, and it was really obvious that Calli wrote that letter that was left on the stairs.
All right, wild card, line 1, Jack from Palm Springs. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Dave. I want to say hello to Tom Grant. Haven't talked to him in a number of years. I'm in the documentary, Jack Briggs, and the original documentary by Nick Broomfield.
Okay.
We helped find El Duche. He had been talking, just to clarify who El Duche was, after the death or the murder or whatever you want to call it, suicide, he was telling everybody around town that he had been offered $50,000 by Courtney Love to kill Kurt Cobain, and he didn't take the offer at the time, he said. But that was something that was told to everybody. And so we heard about the story, and we brought him to Tom Grant. We got a lie detector that he took. He passed a lie detector by Dr. Edward Gelb, the most advanced lie detector man in the world. And we believe the story to this day. Now, it got caught in a lot of politics in the whole thing because I have to be truthful in the whole thing. Tom is a great guy, but sometimes he's his own worst enemy because when he heard that El Duce's real name was Eldon Hoke, if you remember this, Tom, you said, oh, Eldon Hoke, that sounds like hoax. He must be lying. Well, that's insane because that was his name. He can't.
Well, let me interrupt you here for just a second, Jack. You did not have El Duce polygraphed. Hard copy television had El Duce polygraphed. I was in on that. I was a part of that, and I went and talked to Dr. Gelb afterward, and I agree El Duce passed the polygraph. But don't try to take credit for having him polygraphed, and you never brought him to me. Your partner, your friend, called me and tried to get me to go on the television show with him immediately the next day, and I refused to do it. I said, first I want him to file a police report, then I want him to pass a polygraph. And I certainly wasn't going to pay for the polygraph, but when Hard Copy got involved in this, they paid for the polygraph. You did not have him polygraphed. Hard Copy had him polygraphed.
And did he pass?
Yes, he did pass.
All right, and now the other strange aspect of this, and although it was covered in that documentary, he, if I recall, Ben, he also was murdered or died suspiciously.
Yeah, I believe he died next to the train tracks, and it was like within a week from the time that he gave that interview to Nick Broomfield.
Wow. Wild card, line 5, Andre from Los Angeles. You knew Kurt and Courtney yourself?
Yeah, I actually knew almost all the people you're talking about in the Los Angeles punk scene. And a couple of things I just want to clarify. I knew El Duce since 1980. I know Calli. I knew Courtney. I met Kurt when they first toured with the Chili Peppers.
Okay, what was your point that you wanted to bring up on this?
I want to say a couple of things because, I actually knew these people. First of all, Calli didn't do anything to anyone, whether, the writing of the note, whatever, I can't speak to that, I wasn't there, but I've known him for 17 years, and I know him very, very well. There's no way he was involved with anything illicit. He was the babysitter for their daughter, and his principal concern was making sure that their daughter wasn't harmed. I've seen Courtney was in Alex Cox.
Well, wait a minute. You just said that he didn't do anything. He was a known drug addict. So saying that he didn't do anything illicit already kind of puts him under the microscope, right? Tom, and thank you for calling in, Andre. He was a drug addict, correct?
Yeah, and of course you're certainly welcome to your opinion.
Right.
People, whenever they get arrested, their family and friends say, "Oh, he could never do that." So,
right. But and again, we're not pointing the finger.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the point, and again, we want to cover this. It's the point that there was much that was wrong with the investigation in the initial run. It should be re-examined so that all of the possibilities are cleared and that we can finally put to rest the soul of Kurt Cobain once and for all, for his friends, family, and for his fans. Quickly, west of the Rockies, we literally have about 2 minutes left here. John in Tacoma, what did you want to share?
Yeah, I am a recovering drug addict, and I was in a drug rehab facility with Dylan Carlson in 1995 in Wenatchee, Washington. I didn't know that was Dylan Carlson at the time. Had no idea. Got out of the drug rehab facility and relapsed with Dylan Carlson. He was the first person I ever injected drugs with, and that was in 1995. And almost on a daily basis, I would walk with him over to a local mini-mart that was by there, and he was receiving Western Unions from somebody over on the West Coast. He said it was from, he was his band manager, but I overheard the phone conversations, and I know for a fact that it was a female. And I just found it very suspicious. All this is very suspicious, and I don't believe Kurt Cobain killed himself. I believe he was murdered.